Hello again, friends. It's Sharon from Mad Paper Crush here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to start doing my assemblage videos, and these are videos I've done the last couple years just to go over the different projects that I've made throughout the year that I've enjoyed, that you've enjoyed, that I feel are useful, that have been fun to do, just kind of a review. And then I've linked all of the projects down below so that if you find one of these interesting or inspiring and you'd like to check it out, you're welcome to do that. If you have some time over the holidays to do some projects, these are some ideas that you could take on to do. So it's the end of 2021. I was looking back over my videos from last year. I can't believe we're already at 2021. And I was looking at those videos from 2020 and, we were still wrapping up or, still in the midst of this pandemic. And while things here in the US have gotten a little bit more stable, I know that there are parts of the world that are still very volatile with, things going on. So wherever you are in the world, I hope that you are well. And I hope that you have some time at the end of this year to kind of go back and look at your year and maybe look at things you've created or projects you've done or things like that, and just, have some gratitude for those things. And I just encourage you to do that because I do think it's important to go back and, be grateful and try and find some things to be grateful about in your life. So let's go ahead and get started on these projects. I'm going to kind of review about 5 or so in this video and then 5 or so in next week's video. And at the end of next week's video, I do have a freebie for you if you haven't seen it already. So I hope that you'll stick around for that. And let's go ahead and get started on the projects that I'm going to review for this year for you. Let's go. Okay, the first project I want to talk about is this little guy here, and this is a window tag that I made with time cards, and it has, a little tag that goes inside, and the window, it's a little peek-through window where you can see what's on the tag that goes on the inside, and I love the way this turned out. I've been trying to come up with more projects for these time cards that I have. I bought a stack of time cards just at like an office supply place, and there are so many of them. And so I've been trying to come up with different projects to use them up. And this one was a good one because it used up 2 of them because I needed 2 to do the front and the back here. And I did some napkin decoupage on this, which kind of hid some of the lines and things like that, but it still let some of them shine through, which I like because I do like time cards. I think they're fun. And I did add some stamping and things like that on them. So this was a fun project to create and really very easy. Now I did use my Sizzix die cut machine to cut this out, but you could certainly, draw a shape and cut it out with scissors or something like that so that you have a window. And the other great thing about this is that I try to keep my clear packaging from things as long as it's not too wrinkled or something like that. And it makes a perfect, little window that is, barrier or whatever to your tag that goes on the inside. So it's not like it just goes straight through. There's this little, piece of packaging there, clear packaging that sort of protects the inside tag from, the outside. So this was a real fun project to do and real quick and easy. You could do it probably in a half an hour. All right, the next project I want to talk about is this little beauty right here, and it is a no-sew binding tutorial from an old book. So this is the covers of these is actually a Reader's Digest book that I used, and I like this because it has a no-sew binding, which means that you can use single pages in your journal. So most signatures have pages that fold in half that can be sewn into the spine. That's what sort of makes up a signature. But this one uses single pages. And so you can see that there are these little tabs on here. That's why it's called a tab binding that you can use to put on here and create a journal. And I like this because it's lay flat. It's a pretty thick book, but it lays flat with this kind of binding because it's just the way the tabs go together. It really only holds two pieces of paper together at a time, but when you put them all together, it sort of, you know, stacks which two pieces of paper it's holding together, and so it becomes kind of, you know, this really cool binding. Now, I did notice, or I did say in the video that in one of the, towards the back, I was putting the tabs a little too tight against the papers, and so some of them have started to rip just a little bit. But as long as you know that and ahead of time, you can make this a really cool binding. And some of these papers that we're tearing were a little bit less sturdy anyway. They were a little more brittle papers. So most of my cardstock papers or, you know, printed pages on presentation paper, they're a little bit more durable. So you just need to be careful that you don't put the tabs too tight on the pages, and then you won't, you know, have the problem that I had for this here. But I do love that you can just use single pages, and you can see I have different sizes of papers in here, which I also love. So, you know, some of them are a little less wide than others, but also some of them are shorter than others. And so it makes it a really fun, different binding that you can put in here. And then we also added some flips to the front and back, so you have even more places to put some items in. So you can see, oops, let me see if I can pull this apart. There's a lot of flips in this one. So this one is a little flip here, and it has an opening here with a little tuck spot, plus a little place here to put things. I'm just going to grab a piece of paper so you can see there's a pocket there. And then there's this big long side pocket here. And then I used an envelope here, but made that into a flip as well with a couple of stacked pockets on the back here. And then these are little, I'm not even sure what you would call these. I mean, they're pockets, but they're different than like normal pockets that I would normally make. So, you know, they kind of go in the back of this paper and go down. So those are fun too. So that's the front of this book. And then in the back, I did a flip here as well. So you have a side pocket on this side, nice long side pocket. And then this back has a pocket right here, which I almost didn't see. So there's a pocket right there. And then here, these are little envelopes with folds. Let me see if I can find the ends on them. Oop, there we go. To open them up. So they have little closures, ribbon closures on them, but then they fold right into there. So, and I don't think I made any other pockets in there. So these two are just the same. They just open up and they have a little, you know, pocket that you can put in there, and then this folds out. So I love the way this ended up turning out. It's a really interesting binding. Like I said, it's fun to do, and I think this turned out real nice. So this is a good one to give a try if you have an old book and just some, you know, scrap papers that aren't big enough to put into like a regular signature where you would fold them together. All right, next up is altered book junk journal planning. I had several videos throughout the year on altered book junk journal planning. This was a continuation of a project that I started to do with Barbara from 49 Dragonflies and Joey DeFee. They were kind of, you know, doing this project, and I wanted to start it too because I love to bullet journal. I have bullet journaled for years, even when I was, you know, working in a corporate setting and things like that. I've had a ton of bullet journals, and I really wanted to get back to it. So I'm not in an office every day now, but it's still nice for me to sort of have a plan or a schedule, or at least be able to look at a planner so that I can see, you know, what's coming up on my days and things like that. So these journals I had actually created from books. So this one was actually a book that I altered, and you can kind of tell an altered book because it has its original pages in, and I've torn out some of the original pages to create, you know, the pages that I use to alter and put my planner, you know, information or things on. So I started out in the beginning with this journal, and I like how it came together. So, you know, I was able to do some flips and stuff in here. I used some planner digitals that I had created, which I also really like. You know, I have sort of a weekly spread that I like to be able to put into these. I did some reviews. I did my monthly pages. That being said, for some reason, I just really struggled with this format, and I don't know. I don't know what it is about me, but this was driving me crazy. And maybe it was because I was just gluing everything down and it was just kind of causing some wrinkles and things like that. But I was struggling with this format. So I wanted to try something different. So I had prepped this book the same way. So it was a book that was already together. I tore out some pages. I was gluing them together to do a follow-up for my altered book. But because I struggled so much with this one, I decided to do something a little bit different with this one. So I actually turned this altered book into a junk journal planner. So it still has the cover that was from the original book, but I tore out the book block on the inside and created sort of a standard junk journal. So you can see I created my own signatures here, and I sewed them into like a hidden spine binding here because I wanted to have something a little bit more like a junk journal that would make me feel more inspired to do this, because I noticed that after a time I kind of fell away from using this one because it was driving me crazy. I don't know. So I went for this one, and while I do like it much better, I'm still sort of modifying my system with this planning. So I loved being able to have inspiring papers kind of showing through from my junk journals. Junk journals, you put in pages from, wherever you have and do different things with it and things like that. But I was still gluing things down because I needed to have, space to do my weekly spreads and things like that. So the junk journal itself didn't have those things. So I was still gluing things down. And, some weeks it got away from me because it was, I was prepping a lot and I wanted to just be in there planning and doing my junk journaling. So I'm still working on my progress and process with this, but I did like this format much better. The junk journal, sort of standard junk journal, if there is a standard for junk journals, probably not. But I did enjoy this better as opposed to the altered book. So there's a couple of different videos linked down below where I show you how I transformed this from an altered book into a junk journal, and then some setups, some monthly, wrap-ups, different things like that, putting things together for each month, that kind of thing. So you can find those down below. I plan to probably do some more of these in 2022 because, like I said, I'm still working on my process, and I would love to hear how you feel about planning in a junk journal. If that's something that you would like more information about, that kind of thing. If you would leave me a comment down below, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. All right, next up is a tri-fold envelope folio. So this is what I came up with when I started using these envelopes. So this is another, actually this was a thrift store find. It was just a bag of, I don't know how many there were. There were way more than this. There was like a stack of envelopes in there, and I thought this would be perfect to have around to use, for all sorts of things. So I've been using up some of these, trying to make different projects with them, and I came up with this tri-fold envelope folio. And so I, just basically covered all the envelopes. So when you open it up, you can kind of see, let me move this over just a little bit here. You can kind of see, the different envelopes that are in here. I think I did use two different ones. So these two are this type of envelope, and then I used a different kind of envelope because it has a different opening here. But I attached them all together, and so you can see that there's lots of pockets, so little pockets here for some different ephemera that you can just throw right in there. There's a tuck spot on this one, and a little label here, and then and each one has its own little pocket here, so you can put ephemera in there, you can put ephemera in here. And then this one, because it goes the other way, you can pull ephemera out from over here. So it's a fun place to just kind of stash some little bits of ephemera. It is very thin, so you can't put too much in it or it's really going to start to open up on its own. But for a journal or something to put in, I think this would be fun to add, just into a journal, to kind of slide into a journal, to have some additional little tuck spots, some hidden places for journaling, that kind of thing. So this one was really fun, and it's a good way to use up your scraps, even the covering of them. a lot of these match the different covers, papers I used for covering the envelopes, but you don't need to do that. So you could even just sort of Mod Podge or collage on these envelopes to create your backings, and I think that would look great too. So this is a good project to use up your scraps. There's lots of little pieces that I'm sure you have stashed somewhere that you could use in this project to start using them up. I think this would also make a great little snail mailing kind of thing. So if you used envelopes, actually I think these are like the return envelope size, so they fit into a standard business envelope. So using something this size I think would be perfect to be able to slide into another envelope to send off to, you know, friends for them to open as well. So this was a fun project to use up some of your scrappy bits and maybe some supplies that you've had kind of waiting around for some sort of project. All right, my last project for this video is this little cutie. So you can see this looks like a little journal, which it is a little journal, but it's cool because it is an envelope journal. So it's just filled, every page is just 2 envelopes, and I love the way that it turned out. I used cardboard and covered it with some paper to make the covers. And then I used a stack of envelopes that didn't have any cards to go on them. It was just a packet of envelopes that I had to create the inside pages. So you can see each envelope, you can, you know, put something in, put a little note in or something. I think it would be really fun to add like quotes or even notes that you could, you know, my daughter and my mother used to have a notebook that they would pass back and forth to each other, and they would write each other little letters in that notebook. And I think this would be really fun to do something like that with. So you would, you know, just pull out one of the pieces of paper, write your note on it, and pass it to your pen pal, and have them, you know, write on another one and give it back to you. I also think this would be really fun to start decorating the pages of these envelopes. I didn't do any of that, but I would love to see, you know, like either some stamping on here or maybe some little, you know, bits of glued on ephemera or something like that. I think it would be really fun to decorate these inside pages a little bit too, since, you know, they're just plain envelopes right now. But I really love the way this one turned out. It's such a cute little perfect size since it's the size of the envelopes, and the binding, I actually covered it up with some, I think this is just painted cotton, so it might even be like a painted t-shirt or something like that. So I have some beautiful spine fabric there that matches the cover and then the envelopes on the inside. So this one was real fun to do and fairly easy as well. So this one might be fun if you'd like to have sort of a pen pal book that you can use with a friend or a grandchild or something like that. So check that one out as well. All right, friends. Here we are, the first 5 projects of my assemblage for all the projects that I did in 2021. The links to all these projects are down below in the description if you're interested in seeing how I did them, maybe trying one yourself or just getting some more information. You can find all that in the description. And don't forget, I have another video coming out next week with another set of projects that I've sort of pulled from 2021 to show you and hopefully inspire you. Maybe you have some time during the last couple weeks here of the year to do some crafting yourself. I hope that you do. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will do that. And if you hit the bell, you'll be notified anytime I have a new video out. Thanks so much, friend, for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.